Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about Calexit, which is something that's been in the news a little bit over the past couple of weeks, honestly more as a curiosity story, and that's really probably where it belongs at this point, because I don't think this particular manifestation of Calexit's going to go anywhere, really. Just kind of a little bit of a dialogue, maybe, bring up a few questions, a few stories, whatever, and it'll be forgotten for a little while, I think. But anyway, one thing that I do think is kind of funny is whenever say like when Obama won in 2008 and I think 2012 too. There were some grumblings from I believe Texas or maybe some neo-Confederate groups or something saying, well, you know what, maybe now's the time we should look into splitting off, and it just turned into a huge shitstorm where people, liberals mainly, people on the left, even some, just kind of moderate conservatives or whatever, just really fucking piled it on these people down in Texas. And just, I mean, some of the dialogue was honestly kind of funny. It's like, these motherfucking pig fucking white racist people down there in the South, like, don't they know we're all just one happy country? It's just kind of funny, like how they can like talk so poorly about these other people in the country, but at the same time say like, we're just one really happy country, and we're all stronger together. I just think that's funny, and there is a little bit of that with the Calexit thing. You have a lot of people saying basically, well, fuck California, let them go, and you have people in California kind of saying, well, fuck the rest of the United States, let's go. And both sides have their arguments. I'm sure both sides could agree that there is a cultural difference between California and a lot of the rest of the country. Good or bad, everybody can admit it's different, I guess. There are some economic arguments too. Now, the Calexit people in their official platform say that since California's economy is so large, they kind of subsidize a lot of the poorer states, and that would the split off would kind of break them from the shackles of doing that. That's that's maybe true. I know a lot of people in the rest of the United States might say like, well, California's got like all these welfare cases. There's like a large percentage of people on welfare are in California or something, and that's probably true too. But I think to look at those statements on face value would be wrong. California economically does intrinsically have a lot of things going for it. Natural resources, great farmland, great real estate, a good strategic position, a lot of brain power there. Silicon Valley and so forth. Great cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, so forth. The film industry. There's a lot going on in California. But now some of California's large economy is based solely on the fact that it is within the United States. Now, a lot of California's economy is based on the United States military. There's a huge U.S. military presence in California, which is a big economic boon to the country, or to the state. There's a lot of the military industrial complex is there in California. Who is it? No, not Boeing. McDonnell Douglas or whatever. They're down there in Orange County. There's a lot of federal money that goes to California for military purposes, basically. But now the other side of that argument is that we live in a global society where countries don't always buy things from within their own country. And, there is global trade, and there is a possibility that the United States would still trade in some of these markets with California. And honestly, I think that was kind of one of the more bullshit arguments against Brexit. Where people were like, we're talking like if the Brexit thing went through, then like just all trade would shut off between Great Britain and the European continent. Like, oh my God, we're going to be isolated. And no, that's not how things work in the world in 2017. There's still going to be trade between the two countries, probably just as much. And I would just assume there would be just as much trade between California and the rest of the United States. It would shuffle around a little bit, to be honest. So you can't say conclusively. There's all kinds of little factors, but some of that military spending would go, and yeah, it probably would have a little bit of effect. I don't know if Silicon Valley would still be there, or if there's, it would be some other incentive for them to make. Well, you know what? Maybe let's go to Oregon or whatever. So I don't know. That would be kind of interesting to see economically just how the cards would fall on California. I think California would be just fine. Maybe not quite as well off, but who knows. But the other thing about this is culturally within California. I guess I'm here in Iowa, but I have an understanding of California, not a completely full understanding, but I was stationed in Camp Pendleton for a while. I've been up to the Sierra Nevadas, I guess, that part of California. I went to San Francisco, I guess. Yeah, a very cool city, I thought. So, like, I'm not just completely talking out of my ass. Like, I kind of have a little bit of a feel for California, but California doesn't make sense as a state. And I think that's the biggest argument against a Calexit as Calexit. And what I mean by that is you have Southern California, which that's, of course, different from Northern California. And even the Bay Area is a little bit more distinct than, say, other parts of Northern California or Orange County or whatever. There's just all kinds of different factions. Some parts of California are way more Hispanic than others. That's definitely going to have an impact on um, a California as a nation state. There would be friction, I would believe, between, say, people up in like Redding or whatever, and people down in Pico Rivera, I guess, East Los Angeles. They wouldn't quite see eye to eye any more than, say, people from there in Iowa, really. But I would say it would be more likely to see California split up into another state or two. I know that gets tossed around a lot. I think they say Jefferson or whatever. And honestly, I would see a lot more of California in a secession scenario being more inclined to like a Cascadia. The one where it's parts of British Columbia and Oregon, Washington, and so forth. I mean, I could see kind of like almost like a geographically like Chile, basically, stretch from like say the Bay Area to Vancouver, and to me that would make a lot more sense than saying San Francisco and San Diego are the same nation, I guess. But that's we'll see. I really do think there is going to come a day where these questions in the United States will be a factor. Today is not that day though. Next year isn't either. But who knows? Now, the other thing that California exit would do would change the political dynamics of the United States pretty bad and or bad, I guess, pretty drastically, I would suppose. And it's hard to say really what exactly that would do. On one hand, you could say it would almost be like a pressure valve for the country, because the country would become a lot less liberal, I guess, some of the more extreme elements of that or whatever. And a lot of people in the other 49 states would have potentially, it all depends on what California's immigration policies are. The ability to say, like, fuck living in Nebraska or whatever, these people aren't progressive enough for me. I am going to pack up and move to California. And consequently, there would be people in California, as there are now, that leave California every year, almost in droves, really, and go to places like Idaho, Montana, you know, Arizona, take your pick. And you know, a lot of times people talk about the way California is ran, kind of driving them out. And to be honest, California is a state where, to me, like there's a lot of money there, of course, but there is a huge gap. I would say there are a ton of poor people, a lot of really poor people in California. There are a lot of really rich people too, and it's hard being middle class in California. Me personally, I had some friends, a married couple that you know I knew when I was stationed out there, and they were very solid middle class people, very responsible people. One of them was a firefighter, the other one was a school teacher. So those are two very typical middle class jobs, and just to listen to them talk about their struggles, I guess, as far as saying finding housing that was affordable. You know, kind of have to like watch what they do a lot more. You know, just because everything is more expensive out there. And now me, yeah, at the time I was a few years younger than these people. You know, I had a pretty decent job, but a little more irresponsible, I guess. And you know, talking to them about like, oh yeah, just up and bought this house for $100,000 in Iowa. You know, kind of no big deal. Just sign your name here, and easy to do. Why these people are like trying to find like, you know, well, how are we going to afford like a $500,000 house that's, you know, not 3 hours away from our jobs or whatever, you know? So I don't know. The middle class is it's difficult, I think, to be middle class in California. It really is. And in a situation where there was a Calexit, I think you would see a lot of people leaving. And you would also see a lot of people coming in too. So it'd be interesting how it would shuffle the country. I think the United States would definitely become more conservative. Um, you know, by more conservative people leaving California and more progressive people coming in. Then also those 50 some electoral votes going by the wayside. But at the same time too, we may say that's kind of a pressure valve, but it very well might not be in the rest of the United States. That could cause a lot of more left-leaning people, or even minority groups. Really, it would change the racial dynamics of the United States, where the United States would be a more white country. You might see minority groups or liberals, left leaning whoever in the United States, kind of almost hitting like a panic mode a little bit. It might really enrage things a little bit, like kind of like, okay, well, the country's no longer balanced anymore. You know, holy shit! Now it's time for a little bit more drastic measures. So I don't know. It'd be interesting, but like I said, I don't think at this point Calexit is going to happen. Um, at least in this manifestation. And if it ever does, I don't think California will go as California as we know it today. I think it might be more likely that, say, part of it's a Latino ethno state. Some of it is kind of its own deal, or maybe with Cascadia or whatever. Who knows? It's hard to tell. It really is. But it's kind of an interesting story. I guess if you follow my work, like these secession things are kind of a real pet project of mine, and I always like to keep tabs on what's going on in the United States and the world, for that matter, on those issues, because I think it's coming at some point in my lifetime. I really do. All right, well, I will leave it there. Thanks for watching.